Welcome to Speaking Cinema, serious movie Jibber Jabber, a movie podcast coming to you from a mental asylum in Medical Lake, Washington, by way of Hollywood, California. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at Speaking Cinema. Listen to us Jibber Jabber every single Monday. Stitcher, iTunes, SoundCloud. Medical Lake, Washington. That's a terrible name.
Real place, though.
Real place.
Real place. A lot of, gets its name because there are hospitals and such out there.
Multiple hospitals?
Multiple hospitals. Some functioning, some not, as we'll get into.
Some what?
Some not functioning.
Not functioning.
Where, this very movie was filmed, actually.
Oh, what? Cart before the horse on me. Cart before the horse. It just sounds like a thing that, like, if you're from there, you know, and you don't question it.
Yeah.
But if you're not from there, it's like, oh, you don't know? You must be from not around here.
Yeah, yeah.
Smug. I am your host, Warden Jibber Jabber. With me today, as always, my co-host, and my co-host, Kevin.
That's me.
Always.
And that's me. And that's me.
Always there, Kev.
Always there.
You're always there. This week, it's our 100th episode, motherfuckers. 100 times we've saturated your ears with movie analysis and brilliance. Delightful! That's us.
We try. We do it. No, we don't try, we just do it.
Yeah, no. It's being done. If you don't think we're doing it, you're not listening.
You're not paying attention.
So to celebrate this week, we're doing movies that we worked on ourselves. We've done the analysis on everyone else's movies. Now it's time to look back at the ones that we worked on. This week on the Jibber Jabber, the greatest PA movie of all time, 2010's The Ward.
Yes.
Directed by John Carpenter, frequent
parishioner of our
fair podcast.
favorite podcast.
New to the podcast, all the ladies who worked on this movie, and by worked on it, I mean starred in it. Amber Heard, Mamie Gummer, Lindsay
Fonseca,
and Jared Harris. There's some other girls in here. We'll get to them later. Written by Michael and Sean Rasmussen.
Yeah.
Distribution, Echo Lake Pictures and North by Northwest. Great name. If you're not familiar, a young woman is committed to an institution after she tries to burn down a house. While there, she discovers a secret that shakes her and her fellow patients to their core. Why do this movie? Why? Here's why. 1, John Carpenter, we're going to do all of them.
Eventually, we're just going to do it.
I'd say he's the greatest, but then Ghost of Mars.
Yep.
2, our very own Kevin was a PA on this movie.
Yes.
So
yes, I was.
We've talked about this in the past. We decided to do this, and then I purposely did not talk about this with you because I want to save it for the podcast. So, we'll get to how you got on here,
Sure.
what it was like. Let's finish introducing the movie. Filming for this movie took place in Medical Lake, Eastern Washington University in the greater Spokane area, which you hail from, in the summer of 2009.
Yes.
Summer. Interesting. Why is that interesting? I don't know. This is John Carpenter's first movie since 2001's Ghost of Mars, and why the long hiatus between the two? Carpenter said the experience on Mars was awful and he lost his passion for making movies. But when the script came along, he liked it and decided to unretire. Since then, he has not made any movies.
It's true.
He
But
has gone back
on
to his
a world tour as a
musician
playing scores from his movies, along with his son. I believe his name's Cody Carpenter.
And he is said to be involved with the new Halloween movie.
To the point where he's talking about actually scoring it.
Right.
Yep.
Not confirmed.
Not confirmed. But the idea that Danny McBride and David Gordon Green pitched him blew him away, apparently.
Right. So. Apparently he liked the pitch, and the guys at Blumhouse wanted him to like the pitch. They thought that was important. And then, so when Rings came out and bombed, the Paramount canceled their
Friday the 13th.
And then I was listening to the guy who's the head of development at Blumhouse, and he's like, I wanted that same day to have John Carpenter come out and be like, we are not canceling our movie. This is the release date. Charge! Yep. And he's like, I had to wait a couple of days because, you can't just call up John Carpenter and ask him to do something. You got to
sure.
But
he's got to get to a good save point.
Yeah.
Dead Space.
As of this recording, this film is available on DVD and Blu-ray. Hard to find streaming, although, according to my own research, it is on Google Play.
There you go.
But
Google Play.
Not on iTunes. There's
a lot of stuff on Google Play.
You know what? It was weird. I looked up on my Roku, and it was nothing came up. So then I went to Amazon, looked for it manually, and it said it is not. It's something to the effect like you just can't stream it. So it's like I don't know if you have to be on a computer only or it's some strangeness.
Yeah, a couple services do that.
Like they have them, but you can't have it right now.
Yep.
Unless you watch it on your phone or something.
Yeah, there was something like I think it was Hard Knocks on HBO. You couldn't watch streaming on a TV for a while.
Right.
So it was like, come on.
And that might be because people are stupid or because of contracts. We don't know, right?
Who knows?
So, Kev, obviously, this answer to your question would be different. But normally we start this by saying, have you heard of this movie and have you seen it? I've not seen it. I've heard of it. I heard it sucks. But then I met you, and you said, I worked on it. Yes. And I was like, whoa. So, catch us up. Where were you? How did you hear about this movie? How did you get involved? How did you get the job?
All right, so
where were you in life?
I graduated college in 2009. So I was a senior, my BA in electronic media and film from Eastern Washington University.
So wait, you had graduated, graduated, and then this movie was going to shoot in the summertime.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I had graduated, and I had heard, so there's a local production company, North by Northwest. They do a lot of commercials, and I'd already gotten to intern and PA on a couple of their commercial shoots because I had just known. I actually met a guy. Every year they did what's called a 48-hour film festival.
Oh, very good.
And you have to make a short film in 48 hours. Like write, produce, shoot, edit, finish the thing in 2 days. And the idea is that they give you a certain theme and props and things that need to go in that you don't find out until the timer starts. So that's what prevents you from just like submitting a movie.
I also did that one time and basically stayed up for 48 hours and made the most reprehensibly stupid thing I've ever made in my life.
I did it twice, and I made good stuff both times. But I had my partner Taylor Adams, who he was a great collaborator and fellow movie friend. If you ever get him down here, he should be on this podcast. He got some really good ideas about movies. So, is a novelist now, of all things.
Oh,
he's written novels. Regardless, so that's where. But I got to know people at North by Northwest, and then one of the people that worked there is a friend of my mom's cousin. So
Washington.
I just say, Spokane's not very big, so I sent her like a little resume package saying like, hey, I know the Ward is shooting. I would love to just, what can I do, and got the job. And my first day there was John Carpenter's first day in Spokane after doing some pre-production in LA that they had already done. Mm-hmm. So I met John that first day and kind of really got my introduction into the PA world in pre-production.
So you were an office PA?
I started as an office PA, but then once the movie started shooting, one of the PAs quit, and they promoted me up to an on-set PA. So I was there on set for most of the days.
Ah, very good.
So yeah, started office PA, pre-production, and then graduated up to on-set PA.
And maybe we'll save the more detailed answer of this for the second half.
Sure.
But what did you learn about making movies during this process? Is there any broad stroke?
What amazed me is it's kind of but the behind-the-scenes people are the most blue-collar, hard-working people you'll ever see in this, like, liberal industry of making movies. It's like, these dudes are just hard-working guys, and there's a lot of stitching that gets done in terms of how a movie is put together. Because the Ward itself, where a majority of the movie takes place, is, like, 4 locations. 4 very separate locations that they all kind of seamlessly put together. Mm. So that was
like not even in the same building, separate.
No, like different cities, even.
Ooh,
I'll point it out in the second half.
Very good.
But yeah, it's there is a whole kind of different process, and I learned sort of I don't want to call it the politics of the set, but like how a set flows, who does what, You know, what does
the hierarchy of a set?
The hierarchy.
Yeah.
You know, what does a first AD do? What does a second AD do?
What does the second AD do?
What does a second AD do? It's all that kind of stuff. You see it in the credits all the time, but you really don't learn it until you just get in the shit and start seeing it in a real world context.
Yeah, and I think that there's a bizarre, like left-right idea of Hollywood being like a bunch of leftists.
Sure.
It's not that Hollywood's a bunch of leftist weirdos. It's just that if your business is telling stories about humanity, you tend to have more
You get more empathy.
Empathy for humanity.
Yep.
But then we have this stupid fucking notion of like, well, blue collar people are conservative, and it's like, no, this guy understands trans rights, but he fucking lifts heavy things all day and puts them here and there, and knows how to tie knots. That's his job. He's a gaffer. You know what I mean?
By God, that's a gaffer's job.
Yeah. Got that beer belly, loves football, but, worked on a lesbian drama last year and really learned a lot.
Yep.
And sometimes didn't learn a lot. But, it is what it is. Now, question. Were these North by Northwest national ads or local regional ads?
They did a lot of local stuff, so like,
did it feel local, like a car dealership, kind of like we got 20,
better than a car dealership.
Okay. No. I mean, look at our yardage of Mini Coopers. We got tons of minis.
Exactly. I got Mini and low APR financing. Wow. I worked on an appliance store commercial, which is pretty standard, pretty chalk. But then they've done other stuff that is very like, they go out into like nature and shoot things, and it's kind of this very, a little higher quality ad than just your normal like Bobo local thing. So
local crew, or do they fly people in?
So some people were flown in, but as part of the Washington tax credit, a certain percentage of your crew has to be local.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest ones that were local were the costume designer was a local. A lot of the heads of the various departments were local, like the location lead. The prop guy was a local guy. And then all of the PAs were Spokane kids, just like me.
Of course.
Yeah, there's just young bucks trying to make a buck. So, but then the first AD was, a woman who's been in Hollywood a million years. The second AD was actually a graduate from my program who graduated a year ahead of me. Yeah, it was... there was a really good amount of just local Spokane, Eastern Washington people, but with a mix of, all the producers are from LA, and obviously John Carpenter is an LA guy, and so, a mix of like the professional and the director of photography is a guy who's, I don't know what nationality he is, but he shot a ton of stuff. He did, recently he shot Sing Street, and then he did a lot of episodes of Orange is the New Black. His name is Jeroen Orbach. So yeah, there's a lot of the specialty people were pros, but then there was a lot of the department heads were local.
Small crew, I assume?
It was a good sized crew, actually. It wasn't like this indie production where everybody's doing 10 jobs. It was kind of a small army. So,
did you get to read the script beforehand?
I did. I actually have my script copy signed by John Carpenter.
Was he like, today's the day I'm signing? Okay.
So he had an assistant. Her name was Gina. She was great. Did lots of stuff. And they basically told us like, he'll sign anything, but just go through Gina first. Yeah, like one of the grips brought his Snapcase DVD of Big Trouble in Little China.
Perfect.
Got it signed. And yeah, like he wasn't like closed off from people. If you saw him walking around, he'd say hi to you.
Okay.
So that's also what I want to say. They say never meet your heroes. You should meet John Carpenter sometime.
Well,
he's a cool dude.
But so John Carpenter has a mixed history in Hollywood in terms of there's been a lot of talk of you see him at like a convention and he's like watching a Laker game and kind of half paying attention. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But this is him in working mode, which I'm sure it was different. Yeah. Although I did hear an interview with one of the producers of this movie, and he was like, I was trying to get John to make a John Carpenter movie when he had kind of moved on from there about this.
Well, if that's the case, then they picked the wrong script. Because the movie that's on the screen is that script, basically. Because we all got to read it beforehand. I was printing sides of it every day and getting caught up on, like, oh, we're doing this scene today. Okay, that's cool. And, but yeah, if they were really trying to do, like, an 80s Carpenter thing, that's not the right script to do it with. And to John's credit, he didn't try to like mold it into anything other than that's what that script was, you know.
Right. Did you interact with any of the actors?
Yes. I met Amber Heard several times, talked to her. Those dogs, remember the dogs that were in part of the international controversy with Australia, and Australia wanted to like put them down? Remember her and Johnny Depp like went to Australia?
Oh, yeah.
I've played with those dogs.
Oh, very good. I guess the question is, we'll finish your actor thing, but then I want to get to what was your PA? Because PAing is, there's a reason why there's no PA union.
Oh,
but
yeah.
let's get into that. So, any other interaction with any of the other ladies?
Oh yeah, they were all great, and that was the good thing about this set. It was the perfect first set to go on because everybody was kind of all in it just to win it. You know, there wasn't any that like, oh, this actor's being a diva and is showing up late, or is, you know, lots of delays that are causing lack of morale, and it was a good fun set, and it was a really good time. And you know, I think the longest day we worked was like 12 hours. John Carpenter's usually a 10-hour guy. And he mentioned how, you know, back in the day, it's like, of course you're going to do an 18-hour day. It's like, we're just going to do it. He's like, I'm just too old for that now. So, and he knows what he wants, and you can really tell he knows what he wants. There were days where we had shot everything that we were going to do that day, and then he's like, let's find something else we can do. We're in one location, like, let's look at the schedule going ahead and let's just see what can we do with the people that we have here right now. So
did you say, is it the idea, do you guys wrap early, or was it just, he was just like, if we got extra time, let's just figure it out?
We got extra time, we'll just do extra time, you know? So let's maximize our time that we're here to do and just hammer it out.
So what were you doing? Fucking getting coffee?
So yeah.
Buying people blow?
I was a production assistant. So yeah, I would go fetch, Mountain Dews, Diet Cokes, haul air conditioners up and down very narrow staircases. Occasionally move cube trucks short distances.
So driving a cube truck is a weird feeling.
It is a weird feeling. So, and then during shooting, they would post us around the set, and we would just make sure, because a lot of the places where we shot at, people were actually like working, like active places. So we're just like, you know, we kind of like talk to them, be like, hi, we're shooting a movie over here, as you know, I'm your PA. If you got any questions, please let me ask me. But yeah, if I yell that we're rolling, just be as quiet as possible, and then I'll let you know when we cut, and we're not, and we're all on radio communication and all that stuff.
Were people stoked, or were they just like, you fucking Hollywood motherfuckers can't tell me to be quiet?
It was a mix of both.
Of course.
One was, we were filming, and it was the end of the day. We were in like an administration building at Eastern Washington. So we actually shot at my college. And it was like 5 o'clock, and people were trying to go home. And they were doing some kind of setup in the lobby. And I was just like, just wait here like a couple minutes. We're just doing a thing. And it won't be long. I'll let you go. And this one guy got really grousy about like, I've worked 8 hours today. I'm ready to just go home. What do I have to wait for? And it's like, dude, come on. I'm the PA. I'm not here to ruin your day. I'm not here to like highball you. It's just, we're just setting the thing up. We are paying for the privilege to do this. So we've paid the school. We've paid the building. Just let us do this thing real quick. We'll go home. So
yeah, I see.
But then there was a mix of like people from Medical Lake driving up, being like, "Oh wow, what is this?" And like, "Oh, we're making a movie over here. Oh, that's cool." Stuff like that.
Cool.
So, a little mix of everything. Yeah, there's definitely a couple of the you Hollywood people. It's like, dude, I'm from here. The hell, man.
Before we get into this, because I'm eager to watch this movie.
Sure.
Any like stories of people and their experience in Washington? Did some of the crew get rowdy in the local Longhorn Steakhouse in Eastern Washington?
That's funny because we had a Longhorn Steakhouse.
I had a feeling.
Who knew? There was one party that I ultimately didn't go to because I was also working at the pizza place at this time. So at one point I had 3 jobs that summer, so it was terrible. But
how were you scheduling this?
Carefully. But
wait, pizza, this, and what was the third one?
There was this little indie movie that that this one girl was shooting.
Oh yeah. That's not that. In 100 episodes, we'll do that one.
The check's cleared, and that's all I care about.
That movie never got finished, right?
I don't think it ever did, and if it did, I don't know even where you could see it.
Well, can we look it up?
We can try.
Let's take this offline.
We'll take it offline.
If this movie exists, we should definitely do this for episode 150 or 200.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just find it out there. But yeah, there was a party that because the costume designer and then one of the guys on the grip crew are husband and wife, and they had a party at their house. They call it an escape from the ward party, and it was kind of for us local people that were on the crew. So I ultimately didn't get to go to that party, but I heard it was a good time. So
Amber Heard, in the VIP area.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So actually, it's funny. I went to a Marilyn Manson concert during that time because he was in Spokane. It was a terrible show, but Amber Heard went to that concert as well. So
You guys carpool or what?
yeah, we should have. Uber wasn't a thing yet, but
It's like if only you were 30 then, you'd be like, Amber, I'm also. Wait, did you know that she was going there beforehand or no?
no, I didn't know. I just heard like the next shooting day. She was talking about, oh yeah, I went to the Marilyn Manson concert at this little place in Spokane. So
It was at a little place.
the Knitting Factory in Spokane.
Well, why was it bad?
Marilyn was he was not looking good at the time, and he was in the middle of I think Eat Me Drink Me had just come out.
Not his best album, right?
That is one of his not good albums, but his next couple albums would kind of be a little resurgence for him. So hopefully his live show's gotten better since then. So
Well, we can hope, and one day we'll find out. I remember maybe 2 years ago he went on tour with Slipknot. We should have went to that.
yeah, that would have been a fun show.
Slipknot and Marilyn Manson. Although that would have been fucking hectic. I would have stood in the back.
I think it was at the Forum. We could have gotten seats, so we didn't have to be on the floor.
Next time.
Next time.
We're almost done every John Carpenter movie on this podcast. What is your expectation for this watch?
I'd just like to. I haven't watched it since it came out, so yeah, I'm just kind of curious to watch it again. So it's been a minute.
So especially when the internet first started getting big in the late 90s, the mark on Carpenter was a fall from grace, right? He used to be good, and now he sucks. Carpenter, Romero, all of that generation, right? That was the stink on them. So what I'm hoping is that this is not like Ghost of Mars, which feels like someone who's given up. I want this to feel like, and that might be unrealistic, but that's what I want, right? I just want it to be, I want him to go out on a good note. Sure. And I don't know, I feel like that's a lot to ask if someone takes a 10-year layoff,
Yep.
and then that movie 10 years later, and the world of horror has changed a lot in 10 years, so we'll see what happens. But maybe we should get into it right now.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
Here we go.
And we're back.
We're back.
Kev, we went away, we watched this movie, but how'd you watch it?
I watched my Blu-ray copy. Of course I own this thing. My name's in the credits.
Of course. I texted you that, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you did. So, I watched it I discovered on the Blu-ray, there's a commentary
Ooh.
with John Carpenter and Jared Harris.
Who's Jared Harris?
He was the doctor.
Oh, yes,
He's
of course.
son of Richard Harris, who's been in lots of movies. But yeah, so I watched it with that commentary. Carpenter's commentaries are always great. One, because he always brings his lead actor along,
right,
to kind of bounce things off with, and he's just very jovial and likes talking about various things. So, at one point during one scene, they're talking about he was asking Jared Harris about doing accents, and he's like, "What's the hardest accent to do?" And he said, like a posh English accent. He said, apparently I'm terrible at that. So little things like that, if the They Live one is him and Rowdy Roddy. All the Kurt Russell ones, he brings Kurt Russell. Jamie Lee Curtis is on the Halloween one. Carpenter commentary tracks, they're fantastic.
It's interesting. For a guy who has a bit of a reputation for being salty, he does have a great relationship with all of his leading actors.
Absolutely.
So,
and again, in my personal interaction with him, he's not a salty guy.
Yeah.
He knew I was just some goob PA, but it didn't mean he wasn't going to talk to me. Or he asked me where some good fried chicken was,
Yeah.
and I couldn't tell him. Because Spokane doesn't have any good fried chicken.
So what was the context of that? He just walked up to you and was like, "Hey man, where's some good fried chicken around here?"
It was during pre-production, and I think I'd given him like script sides or something like that, and he just asked like, "Hey, where my hotel is, like, He's like, what's some good places around there? Like, is there any good fried chicken around here? And I couldn't give him a good fried chicken place.
You're like, nah.
But I did tell him about the Satellite Diner, which is just down the street from the Davenport Hotel. Great late night hangout. So
Also, you said that he liked, or dishing the dirt on
Yes,
Carpenter.
yeah.
He liked Fritos, right? He was powered by Fritos.
The dude was powered by Fritos, peanuts, and cigarettes. That dude, that was his diet. So I think some pastrami too.
Oh my
So.
god, I could not live that diet. I had a bag of chips the other day, and I was like, I feel like garbage. I've turned into that person
Oh boy,
where it's just like I can't do this anymore.
I can't do it multiple days in a row. That's for sure. But yeah, that dude loved his Fritos and his peanuts. So
Fritos and peanuts. I watched this movie on the Google Play Store HD, baby.
damn straight. Google
Spend that
Play
extra
is
dollar.
underrated.
It really
there's a lot of
is.
stuff.
I was pretty fucking pissed off that I had to do it. I usually do Amazon, but now I'm like, yeah, that Google Store's not so bad.
That's where I get a lot of albums, and they usually have really good prices on them too. They're usually sub $10. Mm-hmm.
So Kev, I wanted this movie to be good.
Sure.
So we're good. Now as part of the podcast, we get to our overall thoughts.
Yep. You go first.
I'm gonna go first. I'm already going first. But thank you for allowing me to go first.
So what do you think you were stepping on my toes or anything?
No. Opening scene, a little cliche, a little dry, right?
Sure.
Lady, she's in the thing. It's we get
Thunder,
lightning. Something is in my room,
Yeah.
in the corner. Grabs it. The hand kind of looks Bobo, and I was a little worried.
Okay.
And then to start the scene, we had a panning shot through, and then she gets killed, presumably. Then we have a panning shot back, and as we pan back, the words "the ward" are floating midair CG style, but they are not illuminated. They're illuminated in the same way the room is.
Yep.
So when the lightning flashes, you can see it, and when it goes away, it's more obscured. And we pan through like the W back,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, that seems a little bit dry, but this is cool.
Yeah.
And then we get a
And it says John Carpenter's The Ward.
Also,
like all of his movies.
Also, when we search for this movie, the official title of the movie is not The Ward. It's John Carpenter.
Oh.
It's under J.
Good to know. So
That's fucking dumb. But
that is dumb. Because yeah, it's not John Carpenter's Big Trouble in Little China when you look up Big Trouble in Little China.
so we're going real time backwards, and after that, everything got a lot better.
Yeah. Pretty good opening sequence that I had forgotten about.
No, I disagree with that. The opening sequence is fucking boring.
Okay.
But the cracked glass, like it's like pictures of medical stuff through, like, as if it's been printed on glass and then cracked.
Yep.
That looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it's
That's
cool.
like, it looked sharp. It looked great. I don't know what's going on with that. That was crazy.
Yep.
Overall, the cinematography in this movie is clearly not phoned in. It's thought through. There's lots of complicated shots of you drifting through a scene,
Yes.
and then you drift backwards, and we're doing complicated camera moves that you know you'd have to light very specially for. Ultimately, this movie you cannot say is made by someone who's checked out.
No.
Not checked out. This is it. Is it perfect? No. Is there some times where you can show that they maybe didn't have the most money? Yes. But checked out? Absolutely not. And that is the nicest thing you can say about someone's last movie, right? Is that in a lot of ways this movie is like someone's first movie.
Yeah, very much good. It feels like, yeah, this could have come right after Halloween, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, very early Carpenter.
Yeah.
Now, is it as revolutionary as that?
No.
And it's, again, that's all kind of baked into the script. What the script was is that movie.
Right. And that's the thing, and that's the thing is that you just because someone's really good, it's like the movie is the movie that it is, and we'll get to how we feel about those things later. But what's your 10 years out? What's your view on this? It's not 10 years out.
It's almost 10 years out. 8 years now. But
Yeah.
we're barreling towards it. Yeah, it's you really felt like you said, that is not a movie made by a guy who was checked out. And seeing it firsthand, I can absolutely say that's true. Because Carpenter, all those shots where it, like, he does really quick push-ins and, sweeps, he's, like, running with the camera in those shots and telling, Yaron, the DP, and the camera guys, like, this is what we need, and, like, they do take after take, and he's kind of running with them and sort of, like, rah-rahing the crew a little bit, and the guy really just knows what he wants and plans it out extremely well. And, you wouldn't do that if he didn't care. He would just be sitting in Video Village like, oh yeah, that's good. Do we need to go again? Okay, that's just gone.
Because when you say he's powered by Fritos and cigarettes, right? It's like, okay, so he's just eating Fritos and smoking cigarettes. He's not... Like, when I hear... that, like, that's what's powering him to run next to the camera. That's crazy.
Yep. Yeah, he was absolutely, and the whole crew was just, everybody was just into it. And, we really did feel like we were making something good. And I think ultimately we did. Is it the greatest ghost story ever? No. But it's a good ghost story.
That's the thing. And also, okay, so that's the thing. As a horror, and there's some horror cliches in here, of course. But as a horror fan, that's okay. Because those are not rough edges, that's soft edges for me.
Yep.
There's some things that, like, I didn't like there's when the ghost gets you, it straps you into the chair and then kills you, and it's all done in the same way.
Yeah. Which
feels very budgetarily restricted, but does sync up with what is revealed to be the twist that we'll get to in a minute, right? So that cannot be stressed more that the movie is ultimately a payoff. They have a twist, but the twist is... everything is accounted for in that twist. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's not like a twist for the twist's sake, like High Tension or something.
Exactly.
It is...
Which basically cancels out the whole movie that happened before. Right. And it's like,
this one,
thanks for that, prick.
This one recontextualizes it. Now, is that cliche? Yes. But it does
if you're going to do a twist, that's the way you do a twist.
Right.
So.
I need to say this before we go on. The dancing scene in this movie makes this a good movie.
Sure. Absolutely.
So there's a scene where Amber Heard burns down the house. She gets committed. There's lots of questions. They kind of not enough of a mystery. They don't really sell. I think they don't want to give it away, so they don't sell the mystery. And I think what you said is right. The script is not a highly polished rock. It's like a smooth rock.
Yeah.
But it's not polished.
If you looked up ghost story in the dictionary, and maybe even good ghost story in the dictionary, you'd get that script.
Right. Because the twist is that there is only one girl, and she has a split personality, and she's experiencing it through this new personality that she's recently made.
Yeah.
And there's no, like, additional mystery on top, or no mislead mystery on top. Like, there's, like, the doctor at one point says, like, what's the last thing you remember? But that could have been something that you could have a lot of fun with, where because she was created at this point, she doesn't have any memories before that point. But they never really explore that. You know what I mean? There's no depth in that way, which is kind of lame. Or you could have done, because they're all personalities, and they didn't seem to be all elements of someone's personality, right? It wasn't like, this girl's her sexuality, this girl's her fear, this girl. And if you had that, what would be cool is if they all had the same memories, but from a different perspective, or none of that is not a puzzle piece like that. You know what I mean? But that dancing, so they're all hanging out, and one girl puts on a record, and then it's like a 60s like rock and roll song.
Yeah.
But the movie takes place in 66.
Yep.
Technically a period piece. And then they all start dancing. And it's shot, I can't describe it other than say, it's shot very sweet. Where it's like, these are girls who are troubled, but they're still teenagers. They're still people.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And they're girls in that way that they're teenagers, right? They have adult parts and kid parts. You know what I mean? So they're all just dancing together, and they're doing like 60s style dance moves.
Which on the commentary, John revealed, all the girls got together and got on YouTube and said, let's look up specific dances from that era, and we'll make sure that our dancing is like period accurate. So again, that's not people phoning it in this movie. They're like doing the research.
Right.
They want to just like, no, let's do it right.
And speaking of that, Kev, I'm glad you said it. The acting in this movie, on the whole, is very strong.
It's good.
And there's a lot of people who went on to have success on the CW.
Absolutely. Danielle Pennybacker, for one. So.
Yeah, Danielle Pennybacker in The Flash, who I love in The Flash.
Yep.
She is both, spoiler alert, Caitlin Snow and Killer Frost. So she's like soft, nerdy Caitlin Snow, and then turns into super villain Killer Frost.
All right.
She's like wearing a mini skirt and a trench coat. That's how you know she's a slut. Mamrie.
Mamie Gummer.
Who I think in this movie, by the way, is terrible. She is not good in this movie.
Well, it's interesting you say that because, first time when I picked him up, because I drove like the company SUV sometimes to pick up talent.
Fucking mom duty.
Yeah, I was doing mom jobs.
Wait, hold on. What was in the back? Orange slices or what you got? High C?
It was orange slices.
Yeah, classic.
But anyway, so I picked up a gaggle of the actresses at the hotel they're staying at. And meet Mamie Gummer.
Hold on, time out. Were you nervous? Like, what if these chicks aren't here? What am I going to do?
Sure, a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, what... So yeah, I was, I don't want to hurt the talent. I don't want to make the talent late. I don't want... This is within my first week, too.
Right.
So I'm still kind of learning the ropes. And I met her, and I was like, God, she looks familiar. Who is she? Where is she from? And then, coincidentally enough, Meryl Streep was on the Colbert Report that night, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, and I looked it up, and she's Meryl Streep's daughter. So there you go.
Not good in this. Why did you say that when you picked him up?
Wait a minute.
What was the point of that story?
No, I was just saying, like, you say she's not good, but she's descended from acting royalty.
Sure. And she's gone on to have her, she had a TV show on the CW, the Emily Owens or something like that,
Okay.
So I assume, I've not seen her in anything else. I assume that she's gotten better.
I know she was in Ricky and the Flash.
Yeah.
As Meryl Streep's daughter. Mm-hmm. So also Jonathan Demme's final film. R.I.P. Final narrative movie.
But she's just not good in this. She's not giving me convincing crazy. Amber Heard can give you crazy. Like when they arrest her in the beginning, and you can tell those cops.
And I was there that day when they were shooting that. And yeah, she was like going unhinged. And that was after we had shot her running through the forest and doing all this stuff. That was a physical day.
Right.
And yeah, she was still just like, kicking the door and thrashing, and it was good stuff.
And you can tell those cops were like locals. You know what I mean?
It's funny. One of them was the dad of one of my coworkers at the pizza place. Little Spokane.
Because she's like kicking. One of them opens the door and she just kicks it, and the look on that guy's face, he is like, you can't do that. You know what I mean? And like, she's like kicking, and her skirt's going up, and like you could tell it's not a protected performance. She's just like, I don't give a fuck. So Amber Heard, really good in this movie. Lindsay Forseca went on to be on Nikita, a starring role in Nikita, which is actually a really fun show.
All right. I know she was in Kick-Ass as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, she's very much...
Who's she in Kick-Ass?
She's the girlfriend in Kick-Ass.
Yeah. And then, so... I really appreciate it. I don't know. I really appreciate it. It's kind of cool that it's like there's a lot of like... It's a weird movie where it doesn't get a lot of hype, but there's a lot of talent in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, Jared Harris is good, and he was right in the middle of shooting Mad Men when he made this. So
also,
and he's been in tons of movies. He's also a descendant of acting royalty. His dad's Richard Harris. So
was there any word on how they got so many good actors for this movie?
I don't know, man, because like Jared Harris had just come off of Benjamin Button too, so he's in which is a big profile Hollywood movie, and I don't know. They just got good people, Guess they got good acting or a good casting director. So
I will say I love Danielle Pennybacker. I will say her death. The scene goes on too long. She's the one who gets shocked to death.
Yeah.
And the shocked to death part is just not done well.
Yeah.
And she's not selling it,
which is a bummer.
Yeah. But
oh well.
What can you do? Now, question: shower scene.
Yes.
Scene where all the girls are showering.
Yes.
Was everyone like, "Oh, dude, I got to deliver this to set"? They said John said that he needed peanuts, and I forgot, so I better get those to him like soon.
That was a strictly closed set that day. I.e., nobody was allowed within like a floor, because that was shot on the third floor of this not abandoned, but decommissioned mental asylum, and it was like blacked out walls and blacked out doors and like only approved people on the set this day. So
because they really got naked for it.
Yeah, they were naked for it. So and
good for them.
Yeah, they came out and they were like in their nice cushy bathrobes, heading back to their trailers, And then yeah, we got to clean up the shower afterwards. So
Perfect.
that was interesting.
A lot of tasteful side boob in this movie.
Tasteful side boob. No outright nudity.
Which I'm joking about being pervy. I do think that is one of the flaws of this movie, is that they don't ever really show these girls as being vulnerable. And I like how they stay away from the idea that like the orderlies are going to take advantage of them, because I feel like that is a that is.
Yeah,
I don't want to
very much be. Yeah, just anybody can write that, and it's not.
That's the thing.
It's not edgy.
Doing that in a way, that's a real thing, right? That's a real fear when you're jailed in any way, that someone's going to take advantage of you. But it's hard to do that in a way that feels not cliche.
Yeah.
You know, hello. What's that movie that with Baby Doll and Rocket and all those girls?
Oh, Sucker Punch.
Hello, Sucker Punch.
Yep.
And goodbye, Sucker Punch.
And goodbye forever.
But yeah, I do think that, and listen, it's more. I understand it's more complicated than this. Not everyone is comfortable being naked. Not everyone wants to be naked for a low budget movie. Whatever. But if there was nudity in this movie, and amongst other things, you could have sold the idea of them being trapped and isolated and vulnerable in being children who are locked up. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That kind of vibe. You know what I mean? Sure. Where it's like it's this weird thing, but. Yeah, it just didn't work out that way, but that's fine. Sure. And also, I like the idea of a shadowy monster attacking someone in a shower.
Yep.
I had that idea for something that I'm trying to work on, and I was like, how would I do this? And I saw it in this movie. I'm like, interesting.
And that was something they really had to do carefully, because that makeup wasn't necessarily
waterproof.
Yeah, I mean it's just standard monster makeup. But yeah, there's a whole set of logistics that you got to think about when you're putting somebody in makeup in water. You know, it's a whole different thing you got to do.
Let's talk about that ghost.
Sure.
Now that you've brought it up, how did that ghost read on set?
I thought it was good. I actually don't think. I was a little disappointed when I saw they added the CGI to it.
Well, they had CGI to it.
What? What did you say?
What was CGI on that ghost?
Like the crawling veins and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah. They didn't really add anything.
Because that makeup is pretty good, you know?
I'm going to disagree.
Well, but I think they kind of fucked it up with the CG, though.
I feel like it's not...
I thought it was a lot better on set. Also, it's weird eating lunch with a girl in ghost makeup.
Okay.
But she'd be in her thing, and it'd be lunchtime, and you got more scenes to shoot with the ghost. So yeah, she's like...
Who played the ghost?
I forget.
Some rando, right?
I don't know if it was a rando, but...
was it the girl who played the main girl?
I don't think so. I think it was somebody else.
Okay.
But I'll have to look it up. But,
because the movie...
yeah, she's just, like, sitting around talking in her ghost makeup. Like, so what are you guys up to this weekend? You know, and she's this decaying zombie ghost. So.
That's awesome.
But, and they did a few different makeup tests on that, too. Because I remember during pre-production, they had a trailer set up outside, and each one was a different concept for ghost makeup. And John was going through all of them, so... And he was not shy about sharing his opinion on some of them.
Yeah, he's like...
There were a bunch, he was like... Because I asked him, he was just walking by, and I just asked him, like, how's the makeup test going? And he's like, a lot of them suck. And actually, the makeup designer is Greg Nicotero, and he's like...
Oh, really?
He's on The Walking Dead. I got to meet Greg Nicotero, and he does all Tarantino stuff. He's on The Walking Dead, so again, they got legitimate talent for this stuff.
I just feel like it didn't read very well. I don't know if it was not lit correctly, or...
I don't know if it was the lighting. Again, I think the CGI kind of dampens it, but sort of the cutting is weird in some of those scenes too, whereas in the rest of the movie, it's pretty well put together. So yeah, I don't know. I felt it was a lot more effective on set, I thought. So I was a little bummed when it didn't read as well as it could have.
Yeah, I didn't love the ghost design. And I think at this point in my life, I'm into much more of a minimalist ghost design. This is like a very maximalist ghost design.
Yeah.
I want to talk about my favorite moment in the whole movie, other than the dancing moment, is that morgue gag.
Yes.
It sucks. Okay, it's great. She's hiding in the thing, comes out. The morgue drawer door is shaking like someone's trying to get out, and she goes up and she opens it, and it's empty. They should have cut it there, but then the ghost hand comes out, and it's fuck. But that would have been so good. You know what I mean?
That was a good gag.
Were people like? Was there like an idea that this was because it's Carpenter? Were people stoked to be on a horror movie?
Yeah, absolutely. There was definitely that energy on set of like, we're making a John Carpenter movie right now, so it's like we're all gonna give our best, and people didn't really need to always be rah motivated to do that. They just kind of felt motivated to do that, so that was just a good atmosphere.
Did you see him talking to the actors?
Not a lot, because they did a lot of the really heavy stuff in their individual trailers. I remember a couple times they were ready to shoot a scene, and they told us, like, okay, go ahead and round up, like, Amber and John. And then Amber was like, let's wait a minute, I really want to talk about this scene with John. And so then they would go in their trailer and talk about it, and then come out, and then they would do the scene.
Interesting.
So, some of the on-set stuff was pretty minimalist direction, because they did a lot in pre-production, and I think this is what a lot of directors could learn, is you're really hammer out a lot of the beats before you get on set.
So were you there for the...
There's wiggle room in that, but like, they did read-throughs and character discussions with the whole group together, and a lot of that was done in North by Northwest before we shot one thing of film.
So wait, were you there for the table reads, and were you there for the rehearsals?
No. Those weren't.
But before
I was stuck in the snack room at that point.
Sure. Well, it's kind of.
I was making runs to Photocam. Well, the airport to deliver film to Photocam.
They shot on film.
They shot on film, Panavision cameras.
I am kind of bummed out to hear that about the characters, because I feel like the characters felt a little bit underbaked. Because I feel like, again, and maybe this was edited this way or whatever, right? Also, a lot of stuff cut out or.
No, that's pretty much it. So it was a svelte script. It's a svelte movie. So I mean, that's pretty much like really what you see is what was on the page.
I just wish it was a little bit more clever. Like I wish that like there's a little bit more backstory to the characters. But if you thought about it more, they're describing the same thing but in a different way.
Yeah.
So let's say, just for an example, like ultimately the dad was there for a while and then left, right? Or was there for a while and is not there for a while, and the mom raised him and whatever. So I would love for every character to describe that, but in a different way. Like, my dad was there, he's been there forever, but he recently, he and my mom got divorced, I haven't heard from him. And then another one says, oh, my dad died. Or whatever. And in the end, you see that they're all describing the same thing, but in a different way or something. But they don't do that,
Yeah, for sure. So.
Kind of a bummer. But what can you do? Does anything in this movie not work for you? Oh, wait. Did John Carpenter direct the stunt scenes, the fight scenes?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was there. So, I mean, they had, like...
Doubles.
Oh, yeah. There were definitely stunt doubles and stand-ins. But, yeah, he was there from... There was no, like, second unit, really. He was kind of there for the whole thing. So, every little shot, he figured out.
Is there anything in this movie for you that doesn't work?
It's hard for me to say just because I have that kind of connection to it. I think for what it is good. I do, again, the CGI and the ghost, you don't really need, because that makeup was good on set.
Yeah, and I think I like the idea. There's a cool idea, the idea that there's something flowing through her. It just doesn't read. It reads as, oh, there's some CGI effect. It doesn't read like, oh, like her blood, or you know what I mean. And also in the context of what we're talking about, what is flowing through her? Yeah.
So it's little things like that. It's like maybe it was better on set, or if it wasn't a $10 million movie, if it was a $20 million movie, maybe you could have done something more interesting with that. But you worked within what you got, so and you come in on time and under budget.
It's good. I think that I do think that the twist is kind of cliche, but
it is.
But I do like the idea that all of the split personalities resent the original one.
Yeah.
And I do like how there is a take that she's mean, and it's like she's mean because if she gets better, then we all go away.
Exactly.
And I like that idea that as they get better, they get closer to their death because they're not needed anymore.
Yeah.
So it's actually an interesting exploration of a take on split personality, which I don't really believe is a real thing.
Yeah.
But it's like
not real in the way that it's depicted in Hollywood.
Right. And it's kind of interesting because recently we saw a movie entitled Split that has come out, which is about the same thing, right? Someone with personality, but that took it to a really interesting place, right? Where it's like, you know,
I haven't seen Split.
you have not seen Split yet?
I didn't see it yet.
I
I didn't get invited, homie.
No, you were doing something, and then I was like, "Fuck it, I'm going
Yeah,
out."
all right.
You're invited. You're always invited.
I didn't hear about it.
Well, check out Split. I'll stop it there.
I'll check
But
it.
Split doesn't feel like a cheat because it leads with it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Whereas this is like the reveal.
Yeah.
Also, the music of the movie is fucking terrible. It's fucking
It's
terrible.
a bummer that John couldn't have done his own music, but he specifically mentions in the commentary, he's like, it's just too much work at my age. So, but he was praising the composer, so it's pretty rote.
It's pretty rote, and I feel like at its worst, it undercuts scenes. I just feel like sometimes fucking leave it silent and let the fucking audience squirm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, don't tell me what to think. Just let that. I feel like there's a scene with Danielle Pennybacker where she was given it, and there's some music or something underneath, and it was like, don't just let the performance be the special effect. You don't need this fucking music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and just, you know, so generally some more setup and payoff would be nice. I mean, there's a little bit with, like, you know, she finds the beads, but, like, they make a big deal about putting her in a straitjacket, and then she just gets the straitjacket off and we never come back to it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a weird, you know. And also there's some bad ADR in this movie.
Yeah, a little bit. So.
Yeah, it doesn't ruin. It's more of a nitpick. Yeah. Also, the chase scene when they're leaving and they go up the elevator and back down the elevator, that's done really well.
So interesting, and I'm gonna talk about this a little bit. The set where all their, like, the living room stuff is in a decommissioned mental asylum in Medical Lake. Whenever you're in the room, that's a set in a warehouse in Spokane. And when you're in the lobby, that's at Eastern Washington University. And the exterior is in Seattle.
So throw away the exterior because they're never really in the exterior.
Sure.
So basically they start in the room, they go out into the living area.
Mm-hmm.
So they go from the warehouse to the mental asylum, and then they go in the elevator, and then when they get out of the elevator, they're in Eastern Washington University.
Yes.
They get back in the elevator, go back down, and then now they're back at the mental asylum.
Correct.
Crazy.
That takes some real skillful movie making to stitch all that together.
And I'm not saying there are cuts in that scene, but there's really long stretches.
Yep.
And it's edited in a way that's very seamless feeling.
Yeah, it does not feel like, but literally Medical Lake and Cheney are 10 miles apart, you know? And, you know, the set is 30 miles away, but it all flows together. And it was crazy when we walked on, because the set was sort of towards the last month of shooting, or last couple weeks. And you walked on there, and it felt exactly like the mental asylum we'd just been in for 3 or 4 weeks, you know? So the set designers did a really good job making that completely seamless. And I thought good color choices, too.
Yeah.
I think they painted it, because you don't see... It's kind of this weird blue, gray, and then mustard color.
Yeah, that's not around anymore.
Yeah.
That mustard color is not popular.
It's not popular, but it's a good look. It's
Yeah.
a unique look for a horror movie.
Right.
So it was good stuff.
And kind of have a 60s vibe to
It
it.
had a very authentic 60s vibe.
Yeah. Also, the kills in this movie are a little bit weak.
I like the stab in the eye.
It's good.
Yeah.
But they do it, they kind of like, oh, we're going to take her to this, take it to this room. It's just a little bit too repetitive.
Sure.
Just kill them where they stand.
Yeah.
But is there anything else you want to talk about what you've learned in terms of, like, you know, more specifically?
You know, it was the best education I ever could have had about the real world way a movie is made.
Right. Constructed.
Constructed.
You get pieces.
And it was a good set. There was a lot of good people to work with. You know, people that put up with me just being a dumb PA. All of us dumb PAs that just took the time to, like, teach us something about, you know, these grizzled old guys who've done a million shows all over the world. And they just took their time to be like, no, this is how a movie set works. This is why we're doing it this way and not this way, and that kind of thing. So it was just a great experience. You know, it took me from just someone who sits and watches movies to someone who truly appreciates the craft behind making one, because it takes a lot of people and a lot of skill. You know, it doesn't matter how in touch with your soul you are. Do you know how to cut together a mental asylum sequence that happens over 5 locations? You know, do you know how to shoot that? Do you know how to put it together? Do you know how to hire the right people to put it together? Mm-hmm. It's a tough job.
Right. And I don't think people think that about like we should get this so she's holding a knife to her neck, right?
Yeah.
So we should get this where she's really aggressive. And okay, it's like, but let's also get it in a way, just do a whole take of this where maybe she's a little bit more unsure of herself. And then maybe we cut both of those together. Maybe we use all of one or all of the other one. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like you're trying to hedge your bets.
Sure.
And
although on this set there wasn't so much that,
right?
Just because they hammered all of that out in pre-production. So,
and then that's a great point too, right? You don't need to do that if you know what you're doing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
But some directors want to do, you know, if you got a bigger budget or it's just a style that works for you, let's approach these scenes in 3 or 4 different ways. And for them that works, and they create an environment where that works. But yeah, Carpenter is just like slinging through those pages, you know, because they've figured out what they want and everybody's in agreement before they even get there.
And they have faith in him.
And they have faith in what they're doing. So
that's cool, man.
That was the great thing about it, is everybody just kind of felt it was a good set vibe. Because I could feel, you know, working on that little indie movie, not always a great set, but obviously we're not professionals, and some people didn't know what they were doing, and all this stuff. Not the guys I worked with, the people in front of the camera. But they'll never hear this.
Also, we're not naming this movie.
We're not naming it, so. But it's like, that really makes me appreciate the work that people in Hollywood do every single day and now that I know a lot of people who that's their full-time job, boom mic people, you know, art department, all that stuff, it just makes you really, it brings something a little different to each movie.
Yeah.
You know?
When I was first breaking in,
it's why I sit and watch the credits at the end
right.
of movies. It's what you do. Those people deserve your respect.
Indeed. And I remember reading a book when I first moved down to Hollywood, and it was some producer's credit, and they're like, you know, on every set there's one person who doesn't need to be there, at least one person who's extraneous. That's not true.
No,
I'm sure on Pirates of the Caribbean there's probably a PA who's just hiding in the corner or whatever, but generally speaking, if you're working on a movie set, as much as you hate it, you have to love it, because it's fucking hard.
It is. There's that hashtag set life that goes around. And yeah, it's a tough gig. It can be hot. You could be hauling air conditioners up very narrow staircases.
And people are like, well, what, it's hot? You can't deal with hot? It's like, yeah, being in a dirty warehouse that's fucking hot as shit. You know what I mean?
Drain on you for...
Yeah. It's like, oh, I'm gonna be gross all day today. And, hey, if something goes wrong, all night tonight.
Yep. Exactly. Thankfully, we never had too many of those.
Yeah, he's too old for that shit.
Well, and we did have some night shoots, but like, you know, call time was 6 p.m., you know, and then you just shoot through the night. But yeah, it's just great scene. All these people come together to make one thing, and that's, you don't get that really anywhere else except maybe a Broadway production or like a big scale theater production. It's like, it's a unique environment. It was really... You know, it just got me, it was a growing experience, and it was great.
It's great to know.
So, yeah.
Good.
Go. The war.
I'm happy. And I feel like I've learned a lot about your knowledge of this stuff, you know what I mean? And, like, just, you know.
And stuff you just, you know, I was in film school for 2 years. There's stuff in there I would have never learned in film school.
Right.
You learn some stuff.
Although I do think, and I know we're running long, but I'm just going to say this. I do think that people shit on film school too much. Like, oh, just work on sets. It's like, yeah, but if you don't know that cameras have lenses,
yep,
it's gonna be hard on set. Right? There's a balance of both things. There's things you want to learn in the safe academic environment, and there's things you could only learn when you're on a set, right? And I think both those things are good.
Yep.
So for all you kids out there who want to get into movies and you're gonna go to college for film, because you know why? Studying other shit, who gives a fuck, right? And again, you should have a basic understanding. I'm for the college system, right? I think you should have a general education class. I think everyone should have to take human sexuality. Fuck you, America. Learn. But if you have to specialize in something you care about. If you care about literature, let it be literature, right? If you're gonna work in an office, all that cares is that you got the paper, so get the paper that you want. Mm-hmm. Said it. In the end, you like this movie, doesn't work.
I do like this movie. I am happy to have been a part of it, obviously. But it's nice that you're a part of something that ends up being good. It's far from John Carpenter's best movie, but like you said, it could have just been this guy doing it just because he's bored, but he really put his heart into it.
Yeah.
And it's a good,
It doesn't feel like a John Carpenter movie, but it doesn't. But because it's not lazy, that's almost more impressive that he didn't go back to the same shit.
Because he could have just done all the same shit he did in Halloween.
Yeah, you did Bobo Halloween.
But he didn't. He approached this script and did an original concept on it. Mm-hmm. Now, is it the greatest script on the planet? No. It's a fine ghost story.
Right.
But it's, he truly made it. And it's made by a lot of people that really cared about it. So there it is.
Right. And, as for something that is essentially in someone's mind, there is a payoff where that's the point. This is a representation of the chaos of this woman's mind.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not like, oh, it's all a dream. It's like, on some level, it represents something that is happening on a neurological level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to say, I do like this movie. I do think it works. I think if you're a horror enthusiast, yeah, if you come in with, is it going to be Halloween? No, it's not. But if you took John Carpenter's name off of it, you say, hey, here's a movie. It's called The Ward. You can watch it on Netflix or something. It's a fun movie.
It's a good little horror movie.
It's a good little, exactly. It's a good little
horror movie.
Good little horror movie. Do you have any sequel or fan theory?
I think a good fan theory is if the nurse ended up being
the devil
personalities.
Oh, okay.
That could have been a cool twist on it, and maybe even she was. So
I don't know. Mine's not a fan theory. I think this would be 100% better as a TV show.
Really?
Yeah.
So
I think like a limited series.
Okay.
Really
take the time to explore each of the personalities before killing them all off.
Yep.
All right.
And I kind of wish that the whole thing was more surreal. If it's all in her head, we don't need to be limited by the rules of
objectivity.
Thank you. So like I want some like Magritte or The Shining shit where it's just like there's a little bit of the Black Lodge from Red Lodge from Twin Peaks kind of but if it's distorted, that's really distorted. But that's not the movie they set out to make. That's okay. That's it for us. Thanks for having us on all 100 episodes. Here's to 100 more. I'm Mr. Jibber Jabber. That's Kev. Kev wrote this episode. Music by Jeff Russell. Watch The Dark Hallways. Keep yourself together. Glad you worked on this movie, and I'm glad we did it for the podcast.
Happy to do it. Thank you to everybody that I worked with who helped us all along. So
love you, JC. Love you every day. John Carpenter.
You too, JC. Keep eating them Fritos.
Let's get some fried chicken.